Welcome to the Cooking Chat Food and Wine Podcast. Cooking Chat focuses on tasty recipes that get better with wine. On the podcast, we explore ideas for cooking with seasonal ingredients and wines to pair with them. You'll meet producers involved with the local food system, winemakers, and more. In today's episode, I'm joined by Celine Kimberly, the owner of the local shop Nouvelle Maison, a French fine provisions store and cafe in Winchester, Massachusetts. Let's go to the conversation. Hello, Celine. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Excited
Well,
to be here.
yeah, it's great to have you. I've been to your wonderful shop, Nouvelle Maison, a few times, and there's so much delicious stuff to enjoy there. I look forward to learning more about your background and the store, and some of the things people can try if they come by your store. But before I get into that, a little warm-up question. And this probably shouldn't be hard for you, knowing all you have around you when you're at work there. But can you tell us about something delicious you've eaten recently to whet our appetites here?
Okay, I can talk about a meal I had, I guess, 2 nights ago. We often sample new products in the store, and we'd been sampling a new brand of pasta sauce. So I brought it home, and we were like, right, what should we make with this sauce at home? And my husband made homemade lasagna. And, you know,
Oh,
every lasagna, like every time we make a dish, it tastes a little different. And this one was a particularly good lasagna. We actually used ground beef from the store. We used pasta from the store. Like we really tried to basically make everything from the store. And the
oh,
pasta
great.
sauce was delicious and passed the test.
Oh, great. Oh, that sounds good. Yum, yum. All right. So I'm curious, when we were just getting started, you mentioned you're not on Zoom a lot as we are now recording this interview, but suggests you were in corporate life before getting into Nouvelle Maison. So I'm curious to hear more about the backstory as to what inspired you to open the store.
Sure. No, I do not come from the food world or the retail world. I spent 13-ish years in corporate environments, either consulting or in tech. My background, you'll probably hear the English accent. I grew up in the UK, but my family is all French. I was born in France. I finished my high school in France. My mum and my grandmother are both home economics teachers, and I spent all my school vacation time with my grandmother. And life really centered around the French kitchen and going to the
Mhm.
market every day and getting fresh food, fresh fish, fresh meat, seasonal produce. And having lived abroad so much of my childhood, that always sort of like that made me feel very nostalgic, and it reminded me of home.
Mhm.
I moved to the US to do my master's, which is where I met my husband, who's American, and he'd always heard me talk about France and French cooking, and wouldn't it be nice to have a French shop, which was very ambiguous for many years. Um, and about 2.5 years ago, he sort of pushed me. He was like, you know what, we really should put some thought to this. Like whenever we traveled anywhere, we'd go look at fine provision stores, pictures, and so that
Okay.
sort of was the trigger for it. But yes, my background is much more corporate America and the tech world.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, I can see how that, but it sounded like the seed was planted through some of your childhood experiences
Hmm.
and memories. Okay,
Very
okay.
much so.
And you mentioned also the lasagna your husband cooked. Are you both cooks, or is he do the cooking for the most part?
We're both cooks. I used to do probably more baking, and he would do more the savory main courses. But I would say
Hmm.
we both enjoy cooking. Um, you know, Life these days is busy. We have 4 kids, and I'm at the store all day, so he does do most of our weeknight meals. And my husband is extremely good at just opening the fridge and being like, "What do I have in here?" and making something from it. Whereas I'm much more of I need to organize my recipe, get my ingredients, measure it all out. So we have very different styles of cooking.
Yeah. Well, they've both merits to both of those for sure. I'm probably a little more like your husband, but I know you have a lot of delicious like pastries and baked goods and stuff in the
Hmm.
store. I can't make I don't I stay away from stuff like that because you do have to be pretty precise if
Yeah, 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 for
you're
sure.
making baked goods. So, speaking of that, I've been to your store, but obviously a lot of listeners probably have not been there yet. So, Can you give
Hmm.
us a little overview about the different types of products and stuff you offer at Nouvelle Maison? Which, and by the way, I should from the outset, if people are wondering where in the world this place is, because we have listeners close to us here, but far away. That it's in Winchester, Massachusetts. So, tell us what someone would find if they come attempt to shop tomorrow.
Sure. So the 20-second explanation is we are like an Italy, but much smaller and focused on France. So the store itself, it's like four different little mini stores. We have a fine provisions area, so all your oils, spices, vinegars, salts, so everything you think about in a nice like upmarket grocery store. We have a bakery and a cafe, so we partner with local bakeries and have freshly baked goods. We have a cheese and charcuterie counter, which is probably, I guess, one of the highlights of the store. We have about 100 cheeses that anyone can sample when they come. And then we have a wine and spirits section as well.
Great. Yeah, that's a great it is, I mean, it's not a huge store, but it's got great variety from what I could tell. The In fact, I had heard about your cheeses and stuff, and somebody knows I like
Mhm.
wine and said, "Oh, you got to check this out." But I didn't realize all those provisions you had. I was the first time I was there, I was drawn over, and I immediately found some sherry vinegar, which doesn't sound
Oh
that
wow.
hard to find, but there are a few things, and because we were hoping to go to Spain relatively soon, so I have a few Spanish cookbooks and a lot of things
Hmm.
called for sherry vinegar. It's fairly common, but like I couldn't find it at Whole Foods, couldn't find it at a couple other shops. I looked, and then bingo, I found it right away
There you
there.
go.
So good example
Good to
of
know.
yeah, that you carry some things that people might not find elsewhere. Cool. So you do offer a wide range of French food and wines. But I'm curious, and we talked about baked goods. Is one of the categories you carry your favorite, like that you're most passionate about?
I get asked that question regularly by customers, like, what's your favorite product? And I would say it's pretty hard to choose. We have about 3,000 different items in the store at this point.
Wow.
And I would say two-thirds of it, like I had a hand in selecting.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's there isn't like a single product. I think what I get most passionate about is when we find a product or a brand that like isn't well known or has like a more interesting story.
Yeah.
We for our fine missionary, we really try to find like small producers and we import directly from them in France.
Okay.
And so when we find out that we're one of the handful of people that they work with, like it's just a really exciting story. It's usually like a small family-owned business in like somewhere really rural in France.
Oh, wow.
So that always kind of, I know, those stories and like how you connect the product to the actual family behind it is always really fun. And then, I'd say like I said, like cheese is kind of a big central focus point. We brought in some cheeses that are made like a half hour from where my grandparents' house is, and so just seeing like that cheese coming from like where I've seen it being made, and like we
Oh,
are
wow.
neighbors to it, it's just
Hmm.
kind of fun to have that hark back.
Oh, yeah. So where in France is that you're referring to?
My grandparents owned a holiday home on the west coast, an hour west of Nantes, so on the
Okay.
Atlantic Ocean. They've been there since the mid 1960s. So
Yeah.
sort of Loire Valley, but all the way on the ocean.
Oh, okay. Being a wine person, I can picture that map of
I
the
figured,
Loire
yeah.
Valley. Yeah, so excellent. So, what kind of cheese would that be from that area?
They have cow's milk cheese and goat's milk cheese. So yeah, so it's a variety, like more on the fresh side. So lots of goat's cheese in the Loire Valley.
Yeah.
So we had to get it actually special ordered in. Most of the cheese that you buy is imported by sea. But
Hmm.
goat's cheese that's fresher has to come in by air.
Oh, I see. Okay, that
Mhm.
makes sense. And is it hard to, I was curious I mean, that's cool about getting that direct connection to those small producers in rural France and
Mhm.
elsewhere in France. Is that hard are you finding them through travel or through some other means if there's not a middle person in between in the transaction?
Yeah, and it's a whole mix. We probably have like 45 or 50 different suppliers throughout the store. For wine and refrigerated goods, it's much more of established importer distributor relationships just because
Yeah,
that's a much more complex system and there are more rules in place.
right.
We have more flexibility in fine provisions. Some of it is like brands that I knew and loved as a kid or that I knew from living in Paris that I have gone and found how they get exported. And then we also use an online marketplace called Fair, which is a bit like, I guess, an Amazon for wholesalers, but
Hmm.
like better customer experience. Like a store can have, I mean, it's going to own its little store on Fair, and then you can
Oh, I
like
see.
look at what they
Oh, cool.
sell.
Yep.
And we've actually been able to bring like one or two customers onto that platform. Like people that I've said, "Hey, we'd love to buy from you," and been like, "Okay, well, if you join this platform, they will help you with the logistical piece of it."
Ah,
So we
nice.
use that platform too. With the tariff changes happening, it might unfortunately impact our some of our smaller producers. We're not sure yet what that means for us, but
Right.
yes.
Great. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, that seems to be a more efficient. I mean, fun to go and just discover them biking through France or something like that. But I
I mean,
guess,
there is some of that. Like we were in
yeah,
Paris recently, and we did some scoping out. I took a bunch of pictures and have a bunch of brands that I'm still currently in touch with to try and get them over. But Fair kind of helps them figure out all the operational hurdles of how am I going to ship food to the US.
yeah, great, cool. Yeah, so one of the things I was drawn to there is your wine selection and the potential to pair it with cheese. And so, in fact, I was doing a theme on pairing, finding some Savoy wines with some cheese, and
Yeah.
I grabbed a
Hmm.
few. I knew I had done a few. I mean, it's not as common a well-known region, I think, in the U.S. for the wines, but some great, wonderful wines from that area. And so I grabbed a few bottles and then went over to the cheese counter and they helped me. Oh, I meant to look before we talked to remember what cheeses they helped me pick out. You might have guesses, but yeah, it was fun and testing out the pairings and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. So yeah, so I noticed, I mean, it's not I guess you're given that you have like four different stores within the store, the wine, it's
Hmm.
not a huge volume compared to some other places, but a pretty interesting selection, definitely. I don't know if you want to say a little bit more about how you sort of select and what kind of wines you try to carry.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that we have a good selection. That's a compliment. Um, I think we have the same mantra across the board where we spend a lot of time curating a selection of products. So, like you said, like we're not a liquor store. Like we don't have thousands of different labels.
Yeah.
So we really focus in on having a variety of budgets and palette options. We look for smaller producers. Obviously, we try and have as many AOCs as we can, but
Yeah.
we're probably not going to have a huge selection of Bordeaux Premier Grand Cru because it's just one, it's really hard to get, and two, it's very
Right.
expensive.
Yeah.
So we really try to have a broader variety, and we will have Vin de France that, someone might be like, well, I know it's Vin de France, but we've tasted it, we've like really experienced it, we understand how it's made. Like we're looking for those producers that are still artisanal in how they produce the wine. I'd say about 70% of our wine is French, 25 is American, and 5% is, typically Italian.
Hmm.
Even for American wines, like we only focus on American wines made in the old world style. So you're not going to
Oh,
find
I
a
see.
super
Yeah.
buttery Napa Chardonnay in our collection.
Yeah.
We just
Right.
don't sell that. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
We work closely with Remy, we work closely with Scribe. Like those are some of the
Hmm.
wineries we work with, and so we're really looking. We're being very picky when we select American wine.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I can appreciate that old world style. It would be interesting to see. Yeah, could do a little try to test out some of those American wines that you found there too. That
Hmm.
sounds good. And how about the cheese? I was kind of I was mostly focused on getting French cheeses there, but do you cover different, is it organized by styles or regions it comes from or
Both is organized by styles. So we have a blue cheese section, a wash rind section, and so forth, and then also by origin. So we have, again, it's probably about 75% is French, 20% is American, 5% is other. Obviously, we have Parmesan, we have Manchego, we have Gouda.
yeah.
But whereas we have like two Roqueforts and probably like another four or five French cheeses, blue cheeses, we'll only have like one or two American versions. So like we
Yeah.
really again try to find the best of the international. We actually have grown our American selection. We have some really fantastic Quebecois cheeses that have been winning
Oh,
awards at the American Cheese Society
hmm.
conference every year. So, I think a lot of people who are here don't know that they have all these amazing cheesemakers in their backyard. Like New England
Yeah.
has a very rich cheese culture, and
Hmm.
so it's been an opportunity for us to bring that to the fore and tell our customers about it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Mhm.
That's true. I mean, obviously a lot of dairy. I think of Vermont especially, but are there
Hmm.
places, are there good cheese sources even closer to us too?
Vermont, I mean, we have Massachusetts too, so
Yeah.
we source all of our milk from High Lawn Farm in the Berkshires, and they
Yeah.
have been expanding their cheese production. So we have, I think, maybe three of their cheeses now, and they have excellent quality milk and cheeses, so they're a big partner of ours.
Great, great. And as I said, with the project I came in there with on the finding the pairings, I'm really into that, finding pairings that really work
Mhm.
nicely. Do you have any favorite pairings, whether it be a wine and cheese or wine and something else, or cheese and something else, even if
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned, Savoy wine. We have some really excellent like Côte du Jura and Savoy wines that we pair really well in the winter with our raclette. We have a
oh,
we
okay,
have
yeah.
traditional raclette and we have a Québécois raclette au poivre that has like pepper in the middle.
Hmm.
So those go excellent. We also have a fondue kit that has a sort of secret recipe. In
Yeah.
the summer, we hosted like an evening series in the store, and it was like a progressive dinner. So we did the appetizer, the Italian restaurant next to us did the main course, and they went somewhere else for dessert. And we did a Pinot de Charente, which is a sort of fortified wine from
Hmm.
just south of the Loire Valley. We
Yeah.
paired it with melon and jambon de Bayonne, so a
Hmm.
prosciutto style ham.
Yeah.
And it's just a very, like in France, you actually would get a half melon and the Pinot would be poured into it.
Oh, interesting.
We
Huh.
decided that might be a little bit aggressive for people who don't
Yeah.
know that style, so we served it in a
Yeah.
glass. That's
Hmm.
just really refreshing.
Oh, that sounds great. Cool. And you just mentioned events. Do you have a regular event series, or just kind of from time to time you do different things? Or
So our intention is to be regular. We are still fairly new. We opened 9 months ago,
right.
and events are really fun, but they require a lot of planning and organizing. So we haven't yet, gone quite as far as we want to, but we aim to do two a month.
Yeah.
So we do like sort of evening classes. They can be, cheese themed, wine themed. We've done a couple of tablescaping classes. Like we've been growing our sort of home decor lifestyle section,
Oh, okay.
and definitely they're very popular. It's interesting. One of my our cheese manager, she comes from Formaggio Kitchen, which is like sort of the name in Boston for cheese and wine, and they've been around for 40 years. And
Yeah.
she said that they're based in Cambridge, and she said that whenever they did classes, they were quite serious, like a lot of Harvard professors who were there asking very technical, complex
Yeah.
questions. And she's been surprised because our classes in Winchester are, people are still wanting to sort of educate themselves, but it's a bit more of a party where they're like, we're here to meet new people, we're here to,
Yeah.
discover new things. We want to listen to what you have to say, and we want to chat among ourselves. So they've been very
Hmm.
popular, and we've been selling out. So we have a whole lineup planned for the fall.
Oh, that's great. Well, I've seen a couple of them and they look good. The scheduling hasn't worked. So knowing that there's some coming in the fall, I'll definitely keep an eye out. That sounds fun.
Yes, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be on the website.
Okay, great. We'll keep an eye out for that. As I said, we do have some local listeners who can hopefully get to your store. There might be people from further afield that and can keep it in mind if they're visiting the Boston area. But for those folks, I'm curious if you see, like, are there things about French food and wine and culture that that you're hoping people pick up when they visit your store that you might encourage people to think about or learn about, even if they're not able to come visit you right now?
I mean, I think for me, it's just eating well and drinking well and like choosing your products carefully, really understanding what goes into a product and like understand that connection between the product and where it came from.
Yeah.
I think that's really what we're hoping is like people
Hmm.
discovering new, high quality, well made food ingredients that they can then use. Like
Yeah.
we sell Curio spices. Curio is actually another Winchester based business, and their warehouse is literally across the common from us, about I don't know, 100 meters from me.
Hmm.
And we discovered that grocery store spices have, when they get to the grocery store, they were picked 5 years ago. There are so
Wow.
many middle people between like the farm and the grocery store. They have
Yeah.
basically spent 5 years getting from the plant to the grocery store.
Oh my
And
goodness.
like when you taste the curio spices compared to like a grocery
Mhm.
spice, like there's just no comparison. So like,
Yeah.
for us, that
Yeah.
was a real aha moment of like, we only get our dried herbs and spices from curio now.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had them. They're excellent. Yeah, so fresh. And I think they focus similar to what you were talking about, like small producers and stuff, if I recall.
Right.
Yeah.
They work directly with the farms. So they've cut out any of the sort of middle companies that that typically help.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Perfect. Do you have any suggestions for people who are interested again, who may, for ways to learn more about French food and culture and stuff that, especially if they're not able to visit, just in general
Hmm.
resources. Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's some, like there's France Magazine, I think is it's
yeah.
an online resource, but they also have a printed magazine that you can get. If you're really into cheese, Culture Magazine is great.
Oh, okay.
It's very cheese focused and it will cover, American cheese and French cheese, but it's a really valuable resource. Um, you know, I will say, I mean, my way of getting to know France is going to France and going to see home.
Hey,
So I'm
that
not as
that
well
works.
versed.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is also like Instagram, like social media these days. There's just so
Yeah.
many resources on there. Like we try and publish posts that are sort of educational and inspirational at the same
Hmm.
time. But I think sort of going online and scouting around is probably a
Yeah.
big piece of it. There are a couple of like I had to find them, but there are a couple of Instagram people who like are Americans living in France and they're really looking to help Americans discover new products in France.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's good. Yeah, if you think of them after, you can send my way. I'll put
I
them
will.
in the show notes. Speaking of that, seeing as you obviously traveled to France a fair amount, do you have any, if someone were going to France, any suggest in their foodie inclined traveler, any off the beaten path suggest, areas to go to that might not be super obvious?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I think when someone goes to France, they instantly think of Provence. Like that tends to be the
Mhm.
number one destination, which
Yeah.
is a beautiful destination. I'm from Brittany on the northwest coast,
Mhm.
which is most akin probably to like Maine, I would say. Like it
Yeah.
has kind of rugged cliffs and definitely a more temperate climate. It's
Yeah.
famous for its crepes and its cider, but it also has a very strong agricultural heritage.
Hmm.
So I definitely recommend that. And then I think like the southwest of France, the
Hmm.
Basque region and the Périgord, that's where like a lot of like the heart of French food comes from.
Oh,
It's
okay.
where
Yeah.
foie gras and duck confit are made, Jurançon, the
Yeah.
sweet wine that goes with those things. Like
Yeah.
that I think it's very well known by the Brits. Like there's a lot of them that go down there, but it's less well
Yeah.
known by the Americans. But
Yeah.
it's hard. Like there are so many. Like as I say this, I'm like, oh, but you got Corsica and you got Lyon. Like there are so many places you can go
Mhm.
to.
Right, right. Definitely it requires many trips, I guess, not just one to
Hmm.
to to
And
get the.
I've never been to Champagne, so like that's
Oh
on our
wow,
list is
okay.
to go take a trip to Champagne and like really discover like actually see the vineyards. But my
Hmm.
kids are a little young, so we need them to be a little older before we make that trip.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Cool. Well, great. Just as we come close to a close, is there anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to share about the store or your background, or you can circle back and underscore anything that you've already said and the people should know?
Um, no, I think we covered most of it. For anyone who's local, we have a pretty extensive catering program as well.
Oh, good. Good to know.
And all of our like, we partner with bakeries for the baked goods, but all our sandwiches and salads are made on site, and so we found that they've been very popular, and local businesses and individuals are starting to look to us to help with like party planning and or corporate lunches, like all that sort of fun stuff. So,
Right, good. Because yeah, I don't know if it came up in your initial description. But you've got, I don't know if you call it a cafe area where people can sit
mhm,
with their lunch or coffee or tea, what
mhm,
have you. Okay, great. Yeah. So
exactly.
and then catering as well. Okay, great. And are you open 7 day? What are your basic typical hours?
We close on Mondays.
Yeah.
Starting in September, we'll be open Tuesday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on the weekends, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, great. And on the web, they can find you. I know you're pretty active on social too, but where you want to give your
Yeah,
website where
so
to
our
find you?
website is www.nouvelmaison.com and our Instagram handle is Nouvelle Maison Winchester.
All right. Well, great. This has been fun learning more about the background about your shop, and I look forward. This is getting me excited about the next visit, my next visit there, and also your got to definitely check out one of your programs coming up in the fall. So I'll keep my eye out for the calendar. All
Well,
right.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Cook Local, Eat Local. To get the show notes with links for recipes and resources we covered today, go to cooklocaleatlocal.com to get the podcast landing page. And please be sure to subscribe to Cook Local, Eat Local wherever you get your podcasts. Make it a great day with some tasty local food on your plate.